Hey everybody, we are live and back to the River Court for this week's episode of Still Comfy. So we're just going to be waiting for Jules from Pop Culture That Makes Me Jealous to go ahead and hop on. We're going to wait for the followers to be updated. We're going to do the most. I think I figured out how to do this the last time. Ha, I did do it. Hey, Paige is here. Hi, Paige. We're doing the thing. Instagram makes you hit like 5 things in order just to add someone to a video.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Hey, Jules, you made it.
I'm here. Hi,
Welcome
Paige.
back to the River Court, where I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. I tried to find the mic and then realized that it wasn't down here.
And friends, every time Natalie sings, take a sip from your drink of choice.
We might almost have to start also drinking whenever Penelope just interrupts the stream with her own aims of fame. Like, oh no, I'm a star.
I'm a star. She's like, look at how beautiful I am.
Look how beautiful I am. Hi,
Penelope,
Mario.
we know you're beautiful.
We know it. 3 lines
Mom.
means to chug, right? Yes.
Yes.
It's like the fountain game. The longer I sing, the more you have to drink.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So we're here to discuss season 2 of One Tree Hill. A little bit of a recap of what we were left with when we left the River Court and played baseball for a little bit. So right before we left the River Court, Keith got a new job teaching shop. And he had to move. So then Lucas was like, I'm tired of One Tree Hill, and I'm tired of the fact that I cheat on girls here, so I'm going to move with him. And then Karen was like, I truly have no control over my life, so I'm just going to let you. And then we cut to Chad going to say goodbye to Haley, and Lucas, aka Chad, I don't know why I'm calling him by his biblical name, his legal name. Luke screams at Haley because she lost her virginity, because it's not an episode of One Tree Hill unless we sex shame Haley. And then
also, and Luke, if Luke doesn't scream at Haley,
right, for just like literally living her life.
Yeah.
And he's like, I thought you were gonna wait until marriage. He's been fucking Peyton and Brooke all up and down this town.
Yeah.
All up and down the town.
Yeah.
Up and down the town.
There's not a surface untouched by them.
Haley was supposed to wait. She's better than us all. And Haley's like, boom, we are married. They got surprised married in a scene that we didn't get to see.
Sure did.
So then Luke's moving. Nathan and Haley are married because Nathan is emancipated. What are crazy Deb and Dan doing? Dan's dying of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And Deb rushes over to see if she's going to intervene about that. And that motherfucker goes, you better hope I die. And that's where we left the River Court. And
which I'm not a fan of how he ended that. Okay, hi.
No, we're never a fan of anything that Dan does.
Ever. Dan is not a good person.
He's not a great human by any stretch of the imagination. But unlike most seasons of TV like Boy Meets World, where some time would have passed or whatever, One Tree Hill season 2 picks up right there. The marriage, the heart attack, and Chad Michael Murray cutting his hair.
Yeah, you know, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a jerk.
He doesn't have a great shaped head.
That's it. He doesn't have a head he doesn't have a head to have a shaved head. Like, you can see where he crowned. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Now that we've done a recap of season 1 of One Tree Hill, should we recap who the fuck we are?
Yeah.
We've introduced our pets, but then we were like, who the fuck needs to know who we are?
Because our pets are so freaking cute. And, like, little Joe is just so needy today. I don't know why.
Penelope, too. I'm like, who's dying? Me or you?
Yeah.
But, like, she gets like this when I have the PMS fatigue because she knows that I'm in a weakened state and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Natalie Katona. I'm your host of To All the Men I've Tolerated Before, which means I don't subscribe to menstrual shame. I'm PMSing. I'm fatigued. I'm very nauseous. To All the Men I've Tolerated Before is a podcast that deals with everyday misogyny. You can catch it every Thursday wherever you find podcasts. Jules, take it.
Hi, friends.
I
Julia.
called you Jewel, like you have tiny hands. Like, you know, your hands are small, you know. My mom used to do this a lot when Paula Abdul would clap on American Idol because my mom's like, her hands are too tiny.
Oh my gosh. Friends, I'm Julia Washington. I'm the host of Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, where we analyze pop culture through the lens of race or gender and sometimes both. And we have we drop episodes every Wednesday wherever you find your podcasts. Oh my God, this dog. She's
Penelope's
like, okay,
actually pretty chill. Like, she's almost about to be able to stay.
She finally mine just got comfy, finally. Oh yeah, thanks, Mario. It's the new art wall since I moved.
Yes.
So I had to change it up a little bit from the last locale.
What? Hello, Sensibly Cynical pod. That is a perfect description of how I feel about most TV shows that aren't One Tree Hill. Just sensibly cynical. If you would like to watch me just have a meltdown after a meltdown, watch me have to watch The Time Traveler's Wife or A League of Their Own on Jules's channel, where I'm just like cynical, like almost haggish, really, and just like unhappy.
And I'll own that. Called yourself a hag. Oh my God.
Number one, you know I love nothing more than to be a hag, because you know who doesn't want to talk to hags? Privileged men. It's my only defense mechanism. Speaking of privileged men, let's talk about the heart attack. So we open episode 1 of season 2 at a fake fucking funeral. How fucking shisty the WB.
Listen, the whole time I was like, fucking Natalie. She made it sound like Dan's in every season. And here we are at Dan's funeral. What is this garbage? And then Deb wakes up. And I was like, listen, that's a cruel trick. Not a fan.
It's a trope that I do love, though, because like every TV show has had a fake death where they're like, and we're watching someone lie in a coffin that's not dead.
Yeah, is it just like Dan's hair is weird too, right? Like it was weird. Oh. Josephine knocked the tray and everything just went. Stop, honey, I love you. You gotta chill. You have got to chill.
Penelope has left the building because she's like, y'all can't act right. Y'all can't. We're professionals.
Yeah.
And if this is going to be the quality of entertainment, I have to go. She just like Patty LaPone us.
That's so funny.
Oh my God.
But anyway, I feel like Dan's hair was this bad in season 1 also.
Always.
So
always. Only on a live do you get welcome.
It's true. We will be sharing bloopers in season 4 though, Mario, because there are quite a few.
Did you see me just try to casually blow cat hair out of the air? That's my favorite game to play at home, is to see cat hair floating in my home and go.
Yeah, I do that with little random dust bunnies.
Yeah.
Though I have to admit, since moving, I don't have as much of a dust issue, and I wonder if that's because I no longer have carpet.
Yes, that's what it is. Carpets are disgusting, and none of us should have them. If you have allergies, rip out your carpets.
Yeah.
So Dan's fake dead, and his hair is weird. And I honestly, I don't know if it's a weird cut, if they're like round brushing it. Have we moved into the era where round brushing is the only way that anyone ever combed their hair?
I feel like that was always because that's very much the 80s, and
I still round brush my hair
decently into the 90s, and I feel like that tip still kind of pops up every now and again.
Yes.
Like do the round brush.
It
I
just
personally don't do the round brush because my curly hair don't like it.
I was gonna say I couldn't imagine round brushing curly hair. I couldn't imagine round brushing. My sister has really thick hair. I
Mm-hmm.
have thin, lifeless hair.
I always know when somebody doesn't know how to work on textured hair, hairstylist
Mm-hmm.
wise, when they start brushing my hair from the top. That's
No
how I know it's going
hose.
to be a bad
It's gonna be
vibe
a
because
bad
you got to
day.
start from the bottom and work your way up. And
Yeah.
all the people who've cut my hair well have done that.
Honestly, the best part about the fake funeral is no one tried to say anything nice about Dan because then you would have known it was a fake funeral. And
Well,
no one
and at
was
first
like,
I thought maybe it was Whitey, and then I thought, oh
oh
my god, I can't
yeah,
believe like how because
Whitey.
he was in the hospital too, right? Like, and I was
And
like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing this to us so early about
and he
Whitey.
and Whitey's so fucking old. He's
Yeah,
so fucking old. But no,
500 career wins or some shit like that. Like that's a
ever
lot of games.
everyone against all odds is still alive. So then we cut to what actually happens because Dan is like comatose in a hospital bed, which the preferable Dan Scott is an unconscious, silent Dan Scott.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's unconscious in a hospital bed, and Deb's like reliving the trauma of what's fucking happened. And she got there and she like rushed over to him and he went, Deb, you better hope I die because he's a vengeful fuck.
Yeah.
And Deb did. Honestly, she just didn't commit what I would have done, but she did exactly what I would have done, which was walk away, not today,
Yeah,
and
like she
toss the phone so he couldn't get to it.
like and flat out said, how dare you threaten me?
How dare you? You're threatening me right now. You're dead. The phone is across the room.
Yeah.
The phone is across the room. And then she's just going to sit there and wait it out. And I was like, fucking wait it out, Deb. Let him die. This is the perfect crime. No one's going to blame you for this. Like,
Except the
literally.
bitch, except she asks if he had gotten help sooner, would it have been less damage?
Yeah,
Girl,
that was dumb,
don't.
Deb. That
Girl,
was dumb.
don't.
Right. You can't. No one is responsible for anyone else's ambulance.
Right.
So honestly, while he was laid around comatose and she was just looking at him, reliving her trauma, I was like, fucking smother him now. It's a perfect crime. He's already at the hospital. People will be like, oh my God, he succumbed to that heart attack
And
coma.
in North Carolina, autopsies aren't automatic.
There it is, Deb. You could have done it. We all would have been better for it.
I didn't know that. Every state is different. So like
Just
in
like
California, they do an autopsy on all the dead people.
a swift.
Yeah, just quick and easy. No one's gonna find the pillow in his esophagus because they're not gonna do an autopsy.
They're not going to do an autopsy. They're not going to do fucking anything. It was the perfect crime. I would have just sat there and watched him slowly die, like Carrie did on And Just Like That.
I was just gonna say, do you think this is where it just like got that
Yes,
got the
they
inspiration?
stole this plot line. That's in my notes.
Yeah.
They stole this plot line from my favorite show.
Those writers love One Tree Hill. I wonder what else in And Just Like That's gonna come up from One Tree Hill.
Oh, I wonder.
Because I haven't
wonder.
seen One Tree Hill all the way, so I don't have
Yes.
the answer for that.
And honestly, I've blocked a good portion of Sex and the City out of my brain. I've just dumped it right out.
I have so much Sex in the City knowledge, it's ridiculous.
So Deb doesn't commit to letting Dan die because he starts to make like a shaky breath, and then she realizes that he's for real about to die, so she calls 911. Rookie move. Rookie move.
Could have done us
now
all a favor.
you would have gotten everything. You would have gotten Nathan back. You would have gotten money. You would have gotten that beach house back. You would like honestly, it's a rookie
Would
move.
she have gotten Nathan back though?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's blocking Nathan from healing with his mom is that every time his mom tries to approach him in a loving manner, Dan fucks with it.
So okay, yes, and simultaneously, which I'm sure you're going to cover, but I'm jumping the gun. Simultaneously, as Dan's dying, Nathan and Haley are getting married.
They are getting married. Also,
so then that throws Deb into like a thing where she's so angry and pushing Nathan away.
Right. We forgot to mention a very important part of Deb's subplot and why Dan told her, you better hope I die. And that is that Deb fucked Keith, Dan's brother.
Sure did. She sure did.
What's up, the nostalgia test? Did you watch One Tree Hill? Do you miss the early 2000s like I do?
I don't miss the fashion though.
the skirts that just like are in the shape of a trapezoid, like they came off of a Betty spaghetti,
Or the ruffly ones, or like you
that
wear
are
your
still
lacy tank underneath. Like there's
so
just
many. The
those of us who
boxy,
came of age in the
oversized.
early 2000s deserve a redo when it comes to fashion.
We're getting our redo in our 30s.
Yeah.
However, heroin chic fashion is coming back, and we should all riot on TikTok. Join the trend.
Amen. I'm not a
Um,
fan. I'm not a fan of heroin chic. I thought have grown past that.
so Deb fucked Keith. It happens in front of a fireplace. It was kind of beautiful,
Well, and kind of very like smutty romance novel.
right? Which I don't feel like Keith or Deb get a lot of in their life.
Yeah.
We don't
Keith
really,
strikes me as the type who's like he's so committed to his love with Karen that he was a monk.
yeah, 100%. That man was lonely, and that's why he got creepy and tried to marry her after one kiss.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was 20 years of loving her.
20 years. And then he just expected her to be on the in on that. Like, you
Yeah.
didn't know that I was a monk saving myself for you. I wonder
Yeah.
where Lucas gets it from. So Deb is watching Dan in the hospital, and they have to call Haley and Nate on the pager. And
No,
so,
just Nate, because no one but
just Nate,
Haley's parents know
right,
and Lucas that they got married.
that they got married. So then Nathan has to tell Haley, like, my dad's in the hospital. He had a heart attack. And she said, is he going to be okay? And I literally, the writers did me dirty because I remember Nate saying something to the line of, do we care? Who cares? Do we care? But no, they had Nate grapple with it.
Yeah, because he's had the most growth out of all the characters in season one. So
Yes.
he's probably got, he's got feelings.
So, which then brings us to why Lucas and Keith have to come back, because they also get a phone call that Dan has had a heart attack, and Keith can't tell Luke, like, we can't go back and see Dan. I fucked his lady.
Right.
Like, I
Quote
fucked my
translation, I fucked your mom.
I fucked your mom. I fucked your mom. So then Dan wakes up and he becomes like enlightened, fake, nice Dan, who is
The
almost
Phoenix effect.
the Phoenix effect, which it's almost creepier than real cruel Dan, because it's like when you're in the like abuse cycle and you're back to the honeymoon phase and you're just waiting for that person to hit you again and you know what's coming.
Yeah, yeah. That whole thing was it was interesting because Deb's like, what is happening?
What
Like
is
she
happening? You're a bad
feels like
man.
she's in the twilight zone of like, why are you being like, I don't trust you being this way.
Mm-hmm.
And neither do I.
Right. And like the Dan heart attack really does trigger, it sets the tone for the season. We like when I was setting up for this episode, I was like, well, the surprise wedding set up the tone for this block of episodes. But no, Dan's heart attack really sets up the whole tone of the season, because it brings Luke and Keith back, and then Luke and Keith kind of have to grapple with the fact that now they've lost out on their chance to be new people. And Luke's like, but I already got the bitch I will rise haircut. Like I've already gotten the spite haircut.
Yeah.
He gave up his hair for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, because what other reason would there be for them to come back? Because that pro con list that they
Yeah.
made was like heavy on the like cons, don't go back to Tree
Don't
Hill.
go back.
But they really needed something life altering to happen for that. And I thought that was and I always kind of hate it when they play with things like, heart attacks and shit like that, because it's almost too real.
Yeah, heart attacks are real. They do happen. And if someone who hasn't been cruel and abusive to you for years is having a heart attack in front of you, you should probably call someone. But if it's a person that you have to go, is the world a better place without you? I say give it a beat. It's just like I just say, like, really just sit there and let the memories wash over you.
Can I just say though, when I saw Bess Armstrong in the credits and I was like, who the fuck is going to be Bess Armstrong? And for those of at home who don't know who Bess Armstrong is, she's the mom on My
Yeah,
So-Called Life.
she is.
And that made me so happy to see her in something else because and she's Haley's mom on the show, and she did such a great job. And it was such the complete opposite type of mom that we see her on My So-Called Life, and I just freaking loved it.
Haley's parents are wild.
Yes.
They
Like, or
are like,
doesn't she, don't they have like a shit ton of children?
they do have a shit ton of children who we do eventually meet one of Haley's siblings, but we don't meet all of them. They have a shit ton of children, and Haley is the youngest of those children, so they're like ready to be done, and it
Yeah.
just reads all over them. And
Like,
then
get the fuck out of our house. You're
get the
more
fuck
responsible
out
than
of
we
our
are.
house.
We're ready to go live our best lives in an RV.
In an RV, like literally at her wedding reception, they're like, Haley, we bought an RV. We've literally just been waiting for you to leave
Yeah.
the house so we could start our road trip. We signed that paper so we could start our road trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Which, in Haley's defense, she is a really good kid. Like,
she is a
she's
really good kid.
honestly got the best out of all of them. She's
Mm-hmm.
probably the one you want. Like, you know, she's not going to make rash decisions. Like, that's just
No,
not who she is.
she's gonna marry Nate. It's fine.
She
And
makes him better.
she does make him better, which isn't our job, but she does it without having to put forth a lot of work towards it.
That's
He
what I was gonna
leans in.
say. Yeah, she's like, here's the bar, and he's like, I got you. Like,
I
and
got, yeah,
she doesn't really ask him. It's just a
no,
natural, like, oh, I like how you make me feel. I'm going to meet you there.
yes. So honestly, it's one of the healthier marriages I've seen in my
I
lifetime.
mean, honestly, and on
Honestly,
TV.
and on TV to boot, and teenagers who aren't
Yeah,
pregnant.
yeah. Oh my God, Brooke not letting it go that she's pregnant. Like that whole, I was just like, Brooke, calm down.
To be fair, when a lot of my friends got married very young, I was like, and they were like, no, we're in love. And I'm like, fine. All right.
See, and I was just editing an episode with that Carly was a guest on, and we both come from extremely religious backgrounds and
Mm-hmm.
different religions, but still. And so we had this conversation about like anytime somebody who is like 19 says they're getting married, it's because they want to have sex and
Yes.
they just don't have it in them to just do
To,
it because
to
it's
go
against
against God.
yeah,
To bring
yeah,
Jesus into the bedroom, if you
yep,
will.
yep.
Which is why I hate Nate and Haley get married. And I was like, wouldn't it just be easier to just have sex?
See, and I know you're not going to answer me, but one of my
Sure.
questions is how long are they married? And I know you are not going to answer me because we have
I'm not.
9 seasons, but I'm
We've got nine
so curious
seasons.
because when the stripper shows up after the end of the party, it's like, oh, this is where the relationship falls apart. And it doesn't.
And it
And I'm
doesn't.
like, okay, Nathan, way to be a better man than your fucking dad. Proud of you.
Proud of
But
you.
also, when the fuck is this marriage going to end?
Well,
Not
you
that
see,
I want it to end, but they're 17.
the
And like,
big
Deb has a point, but
Deb does have a point.
I need her to
But
calm
she's
down.
so angry. And I did want to ask you, like, is Deb's like truly like anger and like she calls like Haley a little whore or something?
Yeah.
And like I'm like, that doesn't feel justified. Like and
No.
I get she's going through a lot with like, I almost let Dan die.
And that's kind of where I was at. I was like, are you responding? Are you over responding because
Right.
you have guilt about your husband? Or would
Mm-hmm.
you have responded this way regardless of your husband's health? Because Haley doesn't deserve
No, she
this
doesn't.
treatment, like at all. Like you even said, and I love Karen because Karen called her out and said,
Yeah.
you said that you were happy that they're dating. And Deb's, yeah, dating. And Deb almost feels like she's indignant that Karen isn't on her side about them being too young.
Because Deb and Karen have thus far for an entire season lived parallel lives and feelings.
Yeah.
And I think it has less to do with Dan and more about the fact that Deb's like, no, this is how I fucking ruined my life. Why are you ruining your life? And I think she's mad at Haley because Haley has like all of the like aims and the ability in the world to be something. And she's like, why are you ruining your life for no reason? Just have protected sex with my son. Just have protected sex with my son.
Yeah.
And like, I felt that. You hate watching people ruin their own lives.
Yeah. Yes. I do think that. So now I'm on this other side. Having been in the position of having done something life altering at 20, so 3
Right.
years older than 17. Like, I think that it have concerns,
Mm-hmm.
express your concerns, be open with your children about concerns. But being so angry about it is
Yeah.
just pushing them away and creating a scenario where they're not going to want to be near you. And Deb's doing that.
Well,
And I
and
think that there was the potential for her relationship with Nathan to be salvaged, and now Nathan's like, fuck you,
yeah,
mom, I'm out.
he's like, I don't have a family, I have a wife. And I was like, Nathan, that's so sad.
And also that's the family.
That's
Like,
so
that's,
sad, Nathan.
yeah.
And then that's basically what Haley's mom makes. She like sits the dad down and she's like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We can either just sign the paper and then pay for her divorce when she's ready to get divorced, or we can throw a fit about this and never get to go into our RV. So,
And honestly, I feel like that's kind of a healthy approach, because at
yeah.
the end of the day, like, it's, yes, your children's lives affect you,
Hmm.
but they're still not your decisions. And really,
Right.
you should just be there to catch them when they need you.
Right. Which Betsy does a great job of doing when Haley has what I feel is like the only appropriate response to have when you realize, when you wake up and you realize you've married a boy and your stuff has to live with his stuff and you have
Yeah.
to live with him. And
Yeah.
she's just in the corner, like looking at her CDs, and she's like, these are my CDs and these are
Yeah.
your CDs. And she's just crying. I was like, honestly, that is how everyone should react to marrying a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, my pretty things have to go next to your things.
Your NBA basketball posters. I don't
And
need
they
a picture of LeBron James on my wall. I'm
and then
good.
she's just crying, crying, crying. And she immediately goes back to her pretty bedroom in her pretty house. And I was like, everything about this is so valid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was the perfect response. And like I feel like that should be portrayed more.
Yeah.
Like when you've woken up and found yourself married to a man and you look and you're like, no, my stuff has to be next to your stuff and you're kind of gross and there aren't a whole lot of smells here. And her parents just tell her, they're like, you can't stay in the bedroom, kiddo, forever. And she's like, Deb was mean. And they're like, Deb's always going to be mean. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, they
And
did.
it's interesting too, because of the way that Deb responds. Like, Haley's the one. Like, why is
Yeah.
Haley the problem? Like, Haley's been a good kid. She's always made good decisions. Deb recognized this in her before. So it's like a weird flip switch in
Yeah.
Deb to go from, you're a really good kid, to, you're a life altering whore. Fuck you. Get out of my life.
She literally like flipped the switch and became Dan because Dan was like, she's a siren taking
Yeah.
Nathan away from basketball.
Which is so, like, why are we demonizing women like that?
I don't know. I was like, they still got to go to senior year. He can probably still go to like practice.
Yeah, like, it makes me so cranky how, like, no one's seeing the bigger picture. They don't have to act like adults. They don't have to, like, stop.
No.
And it's so funny when Dan's like, well, it's going to implode anyway because he has a minimum wage job with no benefits, and then he gets a job at Dan's auto dealership. But, like, this idea of, like, rather than helping them nurture their way through, like, figuring it out and being supportive, because they
Right.
are still teenagers, like, you still kind of need support from your family in various phases of life. It doesn't matter how old you are, but to assume that they're going to be like you guys, not
Right.
emotionally, not the fighting, but like straight laced, we have jobs, no school, is also unfair.
It is really unfair. And it's just like, it wasn't
Because
a
they don't
very,
have kids. They could go,
right.
they could still go to school. It sounds like Duke's not that far away.
It was honestly a very, like, it wasn't a very motherly response.
It really wasn't.
It was a very masculine response.
And Deb has been so even minded throughout all of season 1
Yeah.
that I did not like this switch. It makes me feel like she's having some weird out of body experience in some way. Like, I get it. She's grieving and, feeling awful about all the shit that she did when it comes to Dan's heart attack. But at the same time, it's so out of character.
Deb is worn the fuck down because And I think that is truly what makes it, that will be the dividing line on what makes it hard for Karen and Deb to actually be lifelong friends, is that yes, they both fucked around with Dan and they found out, but Karen didn't have to live in a house with an abusive husband.
Right.
And Deb has been gaslit and abused by Dan for years.
Right.
So her responses to things are coming from that place.
Right.
And she's in survival mode a lot of the time. I think that's why she fucked Keith. Because when you're in survival mode, I've been in survival mode, and I would just fuck the thing that, like, walked near me just to, like, feel a thing that wasn't just the, like, this.
Well, and too, like, she hasn't felt genuine love and affection in who knows how long. And even though Keith holds a torch for Karen, he
Right.
still has that sort of warmth and love tendency to him that he could, he could make anybody feel comfortable and safe probably. And,
Right.
Deb clearly needs that.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on to Brooke and Peyton and their, like, little girl day?
Yeah.
So, it still relates to, like, Haley crying on the floor and, like, hugging herself after she's married Nathan. And I wrote, I think part of my problem with seeing myself married is what I got a lot from media is that it's your close one or two friends who actually love you the way it's supposed to happen. Brooke and Peyton could be the best love story of this show.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when, like, they have that moment because Peyton finds the letter. She hides it from Brooke. They sort of have a fight about it, but then collectively they choose to burn it together, and that's such a ceremony that's so healing for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so beautiful. And then I loved when he was like, "Did you guys read my letter?" And they're like, "Yeah, totally."
It was fine. Right. Number one, how lazy are you to just write them the same letter?
Yeah, dude, come on.
Come on,
and then
dude.
leave it at Peyton's house rather than, like, I don't know.
Making it a TikTok. I don't know. So everyone could watch it at the same time. But I was like, you lazy son of a bitch. This was the whole problem the entire time, is you treating them like they were both your girlfriend and your ex-girlfriend.
Right.
So, and then I was very proud of them. I also miss TV where people talk like people and they don't talk like platforms. And I miss when teenagers used to talk like dum-dums on TV. Like when Peyton says, I'm not really into guys right now. Like I have to change about how I feel about guys. And maybe like life. I go, what a stupid 16-year-old thing to say.
But also a very 16-year-old thing to say.
And to her, like I was like, 16-year-old girls could have built a philosophy of life around that. I really need to change how I feel about boys and maybe life. And I'm like, damn, there's my philosophy for the rest of my life.
So, question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we ever find out what's in the letter? I know they burned it, but does Lucas ever say, like, hey, this is what I've said in the letter?
I don't remember. And I did gasp when they looked so scared and hurt when he came back and ruined their bonfire. I was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like this assumption that all is okay, but he doesn't really know truly. He thinks all is okay because he wrote the letter.
Yeah, that they didn't read.
That they didn't read and burned, which I fully was in support of. And it was such a healing moment where I was just like, yeah, girls.
Yeah, just burn it. Just decide to commit to one another. And knowing that you two know how to love one another in a correct way, as long as no one's fucking around with that.
Yeah.
Because Lucas in season 1 did a lot of fucking around with that.
Yeah.
He was very sneaky. I don't know if you can call a 16-year-old like calculated, but like it just fucked with the dynamic, and it felt unintentional but also very purposeful all at the same time.
So just so I'm clear, basketball season is over now, and
I think it's summer.
Normal season. lesson.
Just other parts of life.
Because, basketball was such a huge part of season 1.
Yeah.
And then, so do we keep going for, see, this whole 3 episodes a week thing is going to be hard for me because I'm like, do we fast forward at any point? Because now I'm like, because are we going to get back to basketball being important? Also, thank you for all the Black people showing up, but still.
Skills had so many lines in one of the episodes.
I was very impressed. I needed that actor to be a little more relaxed in his role, though, because it felt very robotic. But I'm glad One Tree Hill gave him more lines.
He had to, because Antoine, who plays Skills, when he was a father, he had a full ass family while they were making the show. He was a full ass adult.
Oh,
and so
like Trina McGee on Boy Meets World.
Yeah, so he didn't live in North Carolina like the rest of them did.
Okay,
He would fly back and forth, mostly because Skills wasn't needed on set a lot of the time anyways.
Sure.
So he did a lot of traveling. I'm sure that man was tired. And Hillary Burton did a lot of traveling in between too, because she still kept her MTV job. Because she was a TRL girl or something.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah. But basketball. I'm sure we get there. I think we're just not back to basketball because Whitey's still dealing with his eye shit.
Because they were at not the championship game. They were close to it, and they lost a game because Dan was the coach.
Right.
And then so in theory, the championship games are happening now, but we're just not in it because the Ravens were eliminated.
They were eliminated. So it would make sense that we're not playing basketball right now, or
so
even
then
really practicing.
Do we jump in season 2 to get back to the new school year, or does season 2 continue without any jumps? I don't know if you're allowed to answer that.
I think the beauty of having 23 episodes is that we get a summer and a basketball season, or at least part of a basketball season.
Okay. I mean, I don't really care about the basketball stuff because their entire team is okay.
It's a fine basketball team.
They're just okay.
They didn't CGI anyone bouncing a ball.
Oh my god. Back in the days when you actually had to learn how to play the sport you were portraying on screen.
Hillary, Joy, and Sophia talk about how long the basketball days were, and they had to be there because they would do shots of Haley in the crowd. Eventually, I think Haley does become a full-time cheerleader, and then because they're cheerleaders, they have to be there for the 18-hour fucking basketball day.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, because I bet they have to go ahead and play the game now so we can get B-roll.
Yeah.
When I worked at a media studio, they hated it when I scheduled B-roll days because that meant that I would be around pretty much their entire shift. It's I never know what you're gonna do. I need to capture everything.
I don't know how fucking basketball works. So yeah, we'll eventually get to the basketball. Don't worry.
Okay.
Everybody's getting a Raven tattoo at some point or some bullshit.
Really?
I think it's
because Haley got her 33. Yeah. You mean that in that regard?
I truly think that Chad Michael Murray has a Raven tattoo, a full ass Raven,
in real life.
I think.
Oh wow!
Because you know how sometimes casts will do that. The Critical Role cast got the Vox Machina emblem in different parts of their body, but they all went and did that together.
Oh, that's cute. I would love to be a part of something. Actually, I did have a friend group who was because we all lived on streets named after trees. Yeah. And then she was we should all get our tree tattooed on us. And I lived on Sycamore, and I was I'm not getting a sycamore tree tattooed on my body. The leaves aren't very pretty.
No, nothing's pretty about a sycamore tree.
If it was a maple, maybe. I don't know. But I wasn't into it.
My hot mom, she wanted my sister and she wanted me to get my birth flower, and she wanted Emily to get her birth flower on our ankles, and then on her ankles she would have a bouquet made of all of our birth flowers.
Oh, that's cute.
Sure. I I told my mom, because I don't have any tattoos, so I told my mom, I was like, listen, I'm down for this. Like, what a beautiful moment. I do love that I'm my mom's longest ink. She has a tattoo, and I think the shaft of the arrow is supposed to be her current husband, and then there's a feather for me and Emily, and I'm the
Aw,
biggest. I'm the longest and the biggest feather, and I truly
nice.
do love bringing that up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, I do dig that, like, I'm your biggest feather
yeah.
and I'm the most important person in your life. But she's like, I don't think that that's what that means. I go, oh, but I do think that that's what it means.
I have like
And
9 tattoos.
so I told my mom, I was like, I'm so into mommy daughter tattoos, whatever. I go, I just feel like my first tattoo shouldn't be one that I'm matching with my mom. Like it shouldn't be like a combo tattoo. It should be like my Kesha tattoo that I have plotted out in my head.
You don't think you? I mean, I feel like it's gonna be okay if you were to do a matchy tattoo
I
with your
know, I just
mom.
yeah, it's fine. Then my sister looked up my birth flower and she's like, no, you need to get yours because it's narcissus.
Whoa, Emily! Shots
Shots
fired.
fired. All right, back to the real narcissist.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Uh, ooh, can we go
Oh,
over our elevator list that Brooke makes them play at the? By the way, the children throwing a wedding shower is the only way I want wedding showers to happen from now on. In some like
well,
gross attic with drinking games, a band, and people
can
getting fake ideas.
so like
IDs.
I have never heard of like this elevator thing. So is
Yeah,
this something that One Tree Hill made up for
I'm
the
sure it's something.
show,
I'm sure that
or is
it's
it a
like
real thing?
I'm sure it's like one of those lists, like your Mile High Club list, or like your like if you were trying. No,
Literally, I've never heard of it.
I
Like
think
hall, I've heard of Hall Pass. I've
I
heard
think
of the top
Friends
five.
made it up. I think
No,
Friends,
they did a five. You get five celebrities to. It's basically they didn't call it a hall pass, but it's basically your hall pass.
but it was if you're trapped with someone,
Mm-mm.
you get to go for it because that's why Chandler got to go for his because he was trapped in a blackout with that lady.
But she wasn't like on a list. He called Joey to be like, "Hey, I'm trapped in a vestibule with this celebrity," and Joey was like, "Fucking go for it."
Right. I don't know. I think it's the trapped thing. It's a thing. It's a trap.
Okay,
And I think
I
Friends did it. And I think we're misremembering that episode, but I do remember it being part of it. That she was on, like, because I think that's the only reason he would have even recognized her. Chandler's kind of dumb. And so, yeah. No, I think it's just that game that you play, like, if you were trapped in an elevator or in a vestibule or in a room or whatever, who would you want to be trapped in a room with?
that's different from doing it with somebody and then and if you're trapped with them.
Well, I think it's supposed to lead to doing it because that's the thrill of being trapped with them.
Mm. Hmm. Still new to me.
All right, well, you grew up in a more religious household than I did. Mine only pretended.
But I did watch a lot of TV.
Listen,
So,
listen.
because,
I
like
feel
7 Minutes in Heaven, like that's a thing that I knew from
so.
like 14 different TV shows.
I feel like it was Brooke taking 7 Minutes in Heaven and making it grown up because they were at a wedding shower,
Oh,
which I
Brooke.
loved it. I was like, Brooke should have gone into event planning.
Honestly, and then I love how like the callbacks because when Minka's
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks to Brooke for the fake ID," and you're just like, "Yeah, because at the wedding shower, like,
Yeah.
well done,
Well,
you."
and I love that like Mouth is in charge of the silly string, and then when he runs out of stores that are stocking silly string, he gets cheese whiz. And I'm like, this is why children are too dumb to be married because he thought that that was a perfect substitute.
Okay, but can I just tell you the scene where the cops show up to be like, "We saw somebody carrying a keg in here"? The
Yeah,
fuck kind of bullshit is that?
I don't
Like,
know.
no, they're not gonna follow you because a bunch of people carried a keg into an apartment. Like,
Can
that was so weak.
Can I just say though that like my family taught me not to let cops in your house. They're like, it doesn't matter that they're knocking. You don't have to let them in your house.
Yeah, I mean, that's
You
true.
don't. My family taught me you don't have to let them in your house. So, and then like,
One time we had a party and everyone was underage, and my friend opened the door because the neighbor complained about noise. Fair, we have a 10 p.m. noise ordinance
right.
in our city, and and the TV's right next to the door, and on top of the TV is a beer. So it's like she's like, "Yes, officer," and he's like, "Noise complaint," and she's flirting with him whole time. Beer right here on like right in his sight line. She's like, oh, okay, sorry. So, flirts her way out of it, whatever, shuts the door. And we were like, girl, he could have, because it was
We're
right in his
morons.
sight line. Like, oh my God.
We're morons. I've been lucky. I've never had the cops intervene on my good time. I am, for the rest of the season, I would like to refer to Tim as only Dim. And like, Brooke just slipped it in and no one addressed it. And I was like, perfect comedy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that one
I
was
did
literally
not
just for me.
appreciate any of the things he was saying to the black female cop.
That's the point of Dim.
And
He
like,
is honestly the worst.
yeah, because I was like, this is literally like, this is so gross. Like, you could have talked to her as if she were a stripper without throwing in those
Yeah.
like fetishizing terms.
Yes.
Not okay. Not a fan. Not happy about that.
And I wonder if they keep Dim around to like really hit home, like, look how far Nathan has come.
That's a fair point.
Because I think Tim originally was supposed to be the Brooke to Peyton and like Nate had one too, where he's just supposed to be comedic relief because we're all gonna be going through some shit.
Sure.
And then they gave Brooke depth because Sophia Bush is fantastic. And then they just have this moron, and we know that they're gonna start connecting Lucas and Nathan more because when Chad Michael Murray cut his hair,
Yeah.
Luke got enough space in his head to contemplate Nate being a good guy.
Like it opened up space.
It just opened up space and a whole new world opened up.
All this weight and
All
release.
this weight from my shaggy hair, which I miss. He doesn't have the head to go bald. You have to have the head. You have to have it. We know this.
Yeah, it looks like you can tell when he started crowning. That's
Yeah. So I think Tim is literally around it. I wrote it down as the Danny Zuko effect, as a callback to our Grease episode. Like, here's Nate. He's emancipated. He has a job.
Yeah.
He now has a wife. And what's the most fucking embarrassing thing about Nate right now is Dim. And it's the same with Danny Zuko. It's like, stop trying to hold me back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why Dim gets to stay around, being the worst.
Yeah, I kind of hope they remove some of that like racial ish out of his mouth though, because I'm not a fan.
No, he's
like it's honestly not necessary. You can still be a dimwit character without having that element.
No, like he's a moron. If I were that cop, I would have dropped him too. If I were, and like the problem with Tim is that like no one but Brooke will tell him to shut the fuck up. Where it's like, why are you speaking? They like, and I don't know if it's just like Tim's gonna be Tim and he's gonna get arrested and we're just gonna let this happen.
Yeah, because that's something like that did happen where he was like, what is it that happened again? Where then they were like, oh, just kidding, take the motherfucker.
Just
like,
take him.
Just take him.
He said one more stupid thing. Like the cop was gonna let it go. Like Lucas had kind of been like, listen, it's a wedding shower.
Yeah.
Like it's a bachelor party. He's a moron. Can we just like be chill? And the cops were going to be chill about it. And then Tim had to say one more dumbass thing. And then Luke was like, you know what? Just take him away. Cuff him and everything. Just do it. Take him in the car. And he kept it up in the car because he's a fucking moron.
Yeah. Like at this point, it's so, like at that point when he's in the car and they're driving off, I'm just like, I can't believe how dumb you are that you haven't figured out that these are real law enforcement officers in the universe.
And I truly feel that like Tim is the laziest writing currently. And I'm sure and I'm sure like it's one of those things where like Hillary and Sophia tried to have a meeting with the writers to be like, Teenagers wouldn't have gone that far with a cop or something. And then they were like, the drama and the comedy. The drama and the comedy.
Yeah, like to your point, we never would have opened the door.
Right. You don't have to open the door.
Slide the window if there's one close enough to the door to be like, yes.
Yes.
How can I help you?
Can we talk about how I don't feel like Deb should have to take Dan home just
Oh
because
my
the
God.
hospital released him? And then Karen releases her from that responsibility. She's like, Dan has money, hire at home care, and don't be involved in this. Like, the divorce can move forward. I feel like that's also, it's a tricky plot device that gets used that I then see in real life. And you can connect it to moments like this where it's like, you've made a choice and you've made a choice that is the correct choice for you, and you've set a boundary, and you're getting divorced, or you're ending a friendship, or you're ending a relationship, or you're moving, or any of it, and then something catastrophic
Right.
happens, and the foundation of your boundary shimmy and shakes, and you're like, well, I don't want to be the dick who doesn't take care of the feeble Dan. And it's like, okay, but he's going to be fine. He's a rich white dude.
Yeah,
Like, he's going to be fine.
yeah. Yeah, I felt like when he said, bring the divorce papers over, I'll sign them, I was like, good.
Good.
Like, don't create space where Deb feels like you shouldn't be moving forward with divorce. Just because he's suffering from the Phoenix effect doesn't mean it's gonna last forever, and he could be 10 times worse once it wears off.
Correct. He's a bad person. And we saw it when at the end of the third episode, he started plotting against a teenager's marriage, like with his little diabolical, do you think I've forgotten who I am?
Right, like that was so
Okay, Dan.
creepy. That was so I
Okay,
was
Dan.
not I'm like, oh,
I think he's fake.
Dan.
Listen,
You
I
think he's
don't.
faking the Phoenix
Yeah, I
effect?
don't remember if it's true or not, but my whole body, and maybe it's just the same response I had when the show aired. I was like, he's fucking faking being a good person because he knows he can. I think he faked, like, when he did that gasp thing and stopped breathing. I was like, you probably fucking faked that. Like, you probably fucking faked this Phoenix effect thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think he's faking it. Did you hear Luda in the background? Because I did. And I was like, Luda! I go, I miss having a Luda song in every TV show that I'm
Right,
watching.
right.
My good friend Luda Chris.
He's too busy making Fast and Furious movies now.
I know. I know. Can we talk about the difference between the bachelorette party and the bachelor party and how they're like they are such great clear examples of the amount of heart and effort a woman would put into something for her friend compared to what dudes think is acceptable and a good time.
Well, and I thought it was interesting too how they sort of switched roles
Yeah.
because here's Nathan who's like, well, I'm not comfortable. These things are happening. I'm buttoned up now.
Yeah.
And then here's Haley who's like, she's like, I'm not sure if I want to let loose. And then she lets
And then she lets
loose and she
loose.
has so much fun and she's so just like a completely different version of herself. It's not bad.
No.
It's just not a version of her that we've seen before. And I kind of liked how they switched them in that
Yeah.
way.
It's amazing what you let go of when you lose your virginity. And there's no longer the pressure of the V hanging over your head. You've
Yeah.
already upset God and gotten married behind Nate's parents' back. So, hey Sutton. Um,
Which, like, Deb, what did you think was going to happen when you guys agreed to the emancipation? Like,
I
he
don't
can make
know.
grown decisions. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have a legal say in his life, so
Truly
don't
don't.
emotionally blow it up.
Oh, I actually have a note about what Lucas says, never mind, just take him. He called the officer Foxy Brown.
Yeah.
I wrote down, oh no, Dim, not Foxy Brown. And then I have a subnote that says, never mind, just take him. And I'm like, again, at least the other morons in the room were like, Dim, you're not being cool right now. You're not
Yeah.
being cool. And we're
Yeah.
going to let you go to jail. We're going to let you.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, I was not a fan um of that.
and so back to the parties.
Yeah.
Brooke Davis should be an event planner. And I think I think Brooke Davis is a lot like she's like the embodiment of the love language of like quality time and like
Mm,
putting your whole heart and making sure that like whatever you're going to do with one another is meaningful.
yeah,
Um, I feel like to those sometimes people feel like virginity has a different level of significance. No shit.
also true.
By the time I was ready to lose my virginity, I was just texting people and being like, "You want it? You want it?" I should have sold it on the internet like that one movie. What's that one movie with the Steve Carell? Is it
Dan in
or
real life.
yeah, is that the one where she tries to auction off her virginity for like sex trafficking or something awareness?
That's Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies. Yeah, I should have just done that. um, but anyway, I should have tried to make it a platform. But no, truly, it depends on how you grew up. It depends on like whether or not religion traumatized you. It depends on like the area that you grew up in, the mom that you grew up with.
Yeah.
Like number one, we have an entire segment of our the first time we had sex episode. It's episode 3 of To All the Men I've Tolerated Before, where I go on like a 30-minute tangent on how virginity is made up. It's a fake concept. It's not real. It's a made up. There's no medical, physical, anything sort of evidence. Like a white guy put it in a book to hurt women. It's a further attack during the war on women. I'm ready to start the war on Christmas. Should we start that tonight? I'm sick of seeing Christmas decorations out. It's not October. I still should get to have my my spooky season.
Yeah, have spooky season.
So, and I think Brooke knows how to like gently push people into like, I'm just gonna open this opportunity up to you
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna see what you do with it.
Yeah.
Unlike Greta in the A League of Their Own show, where it's like, let's write your husband that you like to feel up girls and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
force you into it.
Yeah, I really like Brooke a lot more. Like, the more I see her, the more I like her because she
Mm-hmm.
really does have a big and genuine heart. And,
Yeah.
like, you know, she's got some hard lines in terms of, like, these are the things that you should never do to your girlfriends and you shouldn't cross these lines, whatever. But, like, at the same time, she's very committed to making sure that Tudor Girl has the best party ever. Also, question, why does her
Yes.
credit card keep getting declined? Can you
Oh,
tell
her.
me?
I believe her parents.
Did they
I believe
tell us in the episode and I missed it?
no. It's still a mystery right now. I wrote that she's getting cut off, but I don't actually think
That's
that's what
and
it
that's what
is.
I assumed. I
I
assumed that maybe they were gonna cut her off.
no, I think her dad actually goes bankrupt. Like I think it's like white
Oh,
man money nonsense to where like here today, gone tomorrow.
gotcha. Like that's hard to
Yeah.
be young and have like and because you don't have a concept of money, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do a terrible job with helping women understand money and the nuances
Yeah.
of it and what it means to have your own and all those things. But to be 17 and like understand that you just swipe the card and get whatever you want
Yeah.
and then suddenly that doesn't work. Like that's a really scary place to be in and a really
Yeah.
vulnerable place to be in.
Especially when that's a huge component on how you show affection to the people who
Correct.
love you because now all of your relationships are on shaky ground because it's like, well, is anyone gonna like me when I can't rent us a limo
Right.
whenever we want a limo? This is the second time Brooks rented a limo.
Right. Yeah, is anyone
So,
going to want to be my friend if I can't foot the bill anymore? And like
right.
that's a thing. Like I think was I talking to you about that with like people who have money and like famous people? It's like, are you my friend
Yeah.
because you like me, or are you my friend
Yeah.
because I'm wealthy?
Right. No, I
Oh,
get it.
I was talking about it with the gal who I interviewed about Bridgerton. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
So Sutton brings up that she is connecting with the fact that she also has money management struggles. And it's like
I
we all do. Money is a
yeah,
huge
I feel like
anxiety point.
well, and I feel like that's intentional when it comes to women because part of the structure of the patriarchy is for us to be
Frantic.
dependent on other people, specifically our husbands, if we have a husband. And so if we can then manage our own money, then we have no need for said
Yeah.
support. So like every time I see a video on TikTok when women are like, and I can't math. I don't math. And I used to be like that.
You know, I hate math.
But then when I, dig deeper, it's like no one's ever encouraged me in my entire
Correct.
educational career to be
Yeah.
good at math or understand math. None of the women I know are encouraged to be good at math or understand math, and we're still doing it to the next generation because my friends with little girls, they're kind of getting the same message. Oh, you
Yeah.
don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
And then, like Sutton's saying, and then you're handed a credit card at 18 and you
Because
have
they're
no
predators.
concept of money and you have no
Yeah.
concept of what you have to do. You can't fucking figure out compound interest to save your life.
And it's the same with fucking student loans. They're like, do you want to go to college? Sign this piece of paper. And they just make it effortless. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
even think about it because everyone's a fucking predator.
It's
And
backwards in our society because it's so easy to get a marriage certificate and it's so hard to get a divorce. And and same with student loans. It's so
mm-hmm.
easy to get student loans and it's so hard to pay them off. It should be the opposite. It should be really fucking hard to get a marriage license
Yes.
because then you're
Yeah.
in it forever. If I got to
Right.
jump through hoops,
Right. If I got to fill out more than 3 pieces of
because the
paper, there's
license
a
where
good chance we're not legally wed.
and the license where I am, I think is like the last time I paid attention, it was only like $37.
Yeah.
Like I can scrounge $37 easy peasy. You know what I can't scrounge? 800 to get a
To file for
divorce.
divorce, right? It's all based on that fucking puritanism, fucking like on the fucking Plymouth Rock bullshitty.
Yeah.
Like we stay
Yeah.
married until we're miserable and dead. Like
I'm over here like you can't convince me otherwise that it's not intentional for the society to ensure women are bad at understanding money
no,
and feeling uncomfortable with
yeah,
money, and then all the representation of women who have money are Miranda Priestley's.
yes. We have an episode currently about what to do about your money anxiety because that's usually the first hurdle. Like before I sit down with the like spreadsheet and know what my money is, I first have to get over my fear of what my money
Right.
is. And so Trina Ross is on that episode. And then we have an episode coming up with a female financial planner who like
Oh,
handles like
nice.
big money, like a lot of
Nice.
money. My older sister woke up in Vegas and legit had married a stranger. See? That's not right. It's too easy to get
It's
married in
way too
Vegas.
easy. At least in Nevada, they like let it take 6 weeks for the divorce to be final, where everywhere else is like
Right.
6 months. But I think it's because of situations like your sister, Sutton. But like I think it's so important that like I think I told you this, Natalie. I started working on my money mindset because there's a lot of
Yeah.
roadblocks and there's a lot of things that I believe that really are detrimental to my financial health.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really started to take control over that because there's a lot of months where it was like there's never enough money. And
Right.
while I don't get paid what I'm worth, I
Right.
also am in a position now with renting this house where I could be saving a decent amount of money every month, which will get eaten up when student loan payments restart. But the point is like I realized that if I didn't take control of my finances, with my situation now, I would still be broke. And I don't
Yeah.
want that. I don't want to be in that
Yeah.
position. I don't like that feeling.
Correct.
At
Yes,
least when I
I,
was paying like a bajillion dollars in rent, I could blame it
right.
on I pay a lot in rent. But now there's no
There's
excuse.
no excuse. Sutton, I will send you a link to the money episode that we currently have. Um, what just happened?
Sorry, the Giants game unpaused. So I was fast forwarding 30 minutes and pausing.
And I'll send you a link. And anyone who's watching the replay, if you hear me mention an episode and you're like, I don't want to look that up on iTunes, DM me. That's all I do all day long is copy and paste links.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
can we talk about the predatory stripper? And like,
Yeah, that made me really
she was
uncomfortable.
just like a lot. And I was like, I feel her name was Simone. I wrote it down on my list, but my computer has since died. I feel like Simone would have literally have just taken her paycheck and gone home. Like it's been a hard day's night, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take this and take the easy ride and go home. But instead she like plays video games with them, and then she's like, you kind of cute, you sure you don't want to fuck? And I'm like,
Yeah, again, I'm not a fan of that kind of representation for sex workers.
no. No. And then I'm also over the cheesy ways that the show tries to set up. You see, though, Nate could still be a bad guy.
Oh, you know, the moment when he walks into the room and he's like taking off his shirt, I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then, 2 seconds later, you realize it's Haley, and I'm just like,
Right.
listen, One Tree Hill, I'm not here for this shit.
I'm not here for it. It was weird, Sutton. It was weird. It was weird. She was like she was a predator.
Yeah, you're a grown ass woman. He's fucking 17.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not okay. Not a fan.
Not okay.
That was my least favorite part.
What's up, late blooming? Did you watch One Tree Hill? Do you hate Dan Scott? Do you have anxiety about managing your money? We've talked about that too.
We're hitting all the knots today.
We're hitting it all. Brooke Davis got cut off, and it made us all go, ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Because I think something that we also do ass backwards in this country is we make it shameful for your family to have to help you out. Like we were talking about this at book club a couple of weeks ago, where we're reading On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which is about Korean immigrants. And she was like, and they have a multi-generational home where the grandma and the aunt and the mom and everybody is living under the same roof. And one of my friends was like, we are one of the only countries that is like, nope, you're 18, kata! I've done all that I can do for you.
And the expectation that an 18-year-old is going to understand how to navigate the world when we've done nothing to prepare them for the real world is so mind-blowing to me.
And like the whole thing about it is too, is like, while you have to have like an abundance mindset, like, oh, what? Am I say some predatory thing? Ew, I hate that. I hope that guy got reported. What was it? Oh, sometimes there isn't enough money, and sometimes you need help because there isn't enough money. As we know, my home has 2 bathrooms, but only one of them is working.
Yeah.
And it's like we've made it such a barrier to where families don't act like communes anymore.
Right.
It's like
it's very isolating. Like we've done a really good job at creating silos rather than creating community.
Right. And it's like, and now when like people are like, well, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine, we're like, sucker. What? No.
Yeah, I think I told you this. Because I will be receiving child support until that payment is gone, until that large balance is down. And I had said to somebody, a boomer, I'm just going to give that money to my child because he's in college, he's in Los Angeles, it's very expensive in Los Angeles. And, while he tries to figure out like his first year of not being at home, because that's hard too, I'm just going to transfer that money to him every month. And they were like, don't transfer all of it. He needs to figure out how to survive in a struggle. First of all, to know my story is to know that we've been struggling. Like, we've had enough struggle in this life.
Right.
We have had plenty to go around, more than I would have liked. And so I'm good with cool off your advice that's actually really harmful and shitty, because my child is in a city that is 3 times, actually I think it's 10 times more expensive than the city he grew up in. So if I can make it a little bit easier for him to do more than survive because he's not at home, he has to figure out how to manage his own time because I'm not here to wake him up in the morning because I'm going to be late to work. It's like, come on. Like, why would you think that it's okay for a 17-year-old to struggle in the real world to learn the value of $1?
Right. And like, we know what the value of $1 is. We know that money makes the world go round. And I don't know. We do everything so fucking hard here. Do we all remember when we watched the first episode of Emily in Paris, and then we watched an entire season of that bitch not wanting to live a Parisian life, where she's like, what do you mean you get up at 10 and you go home at 1:30? And I was like,
sounds like a dream.
The dream.
Oh, and 3 guys that are mildly attractive vying for my love. I'll also sign up for that too.
Right. And you can fuck all of them because we're a little loosey goosey on what it means to be committed here.
Yeah.
The dream.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not
I'm
mad at
not
it.
mad. I'm not mad. I'm mad at Emily wasting her time in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
Sutton, I do want to recognize what you said. I'm so sorry that that's happening, and I'm so sorry that you don't feel safe in your IT class. And that is why, to all the men I've tolerated before exists, so that we raise awareness that it's hard out here, and the world needs to be doing better, and it needs to be making safer spaces for women to thrive in careers that have been denied them. Jules, where did you go?
Sorry, I took the opportunity to shut my sliding door because it is now
Yeah.
officially dark here. And as you know, my fence is very low. And as
Yep.
you know, I'm not 100% confident that my old lady's grown ass son isn't some sort of creep.
I mean, we don't know.
So I decided to, you know,
Speaking of old ass lady neighbors, my new neighbor, I asked her how her moving was going, and she said that the lady behind her brought over felt dots to put in the
what?
cabinets so they wouldn't make so much noise, and that was her housewarming gift. And
Oh, that's such a 1970s thing to do.
I was like, the coded white lady passive aggressiveness of being like, it's a gift, but I don't want to hear your cabinets.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. You have gotten too far to drop out now, but also know that there has to be something that your institution has a way for you to report or anything. You have the right to speak your truth and make sure that that gets handled. And if it doesn't get handled, put them on blast on TikTok. That's what we do now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do now. We
Yeah, did you
videotape people telling us it's okay to get harassed.
did you see the Adam Levine story?
Oh yeah, that's what we do now. We take text messages that Adam Levine has sent us about our bodies and we put them on TikTok and then we tag him. We
Yeah.
tag a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Um
Oh, even your yeah, because
ah,
academia is dominated by men.
by men, by men. Um I a friend said that, she was getting added tasks but not added pay to her contract. And I was like, oh, but she was getting a free lunch out of it. I was like, oh, videotape that free lunch and put that shit on TikTok when you go, so am I getting more pay because I'm taking on more duties? And when they say no, go like, you're on candid camera, ho. Pay me.
I love that gal who does the videos who's like, I work my worth, like I work my
Yeah.
pay. And she's
Yeah.
always like, and it's like 5 o'clock and she's on the phone with like a complaining customer and it's 5 and she's like,
Right. She's
beep,
like,
hangs
beep.
up the phone. Like,
Veronica.
girl.
Veronica.
Yes,
I love it.
yes. I love her. She's so
God,
good.
all of the seasons of Veronica.
Yeah.
Um, Veronica and Susan and the HR lady. Although people do say they're like, HR is not on your side. I was like,
I
that's true.
mean, yeah,
That's
especially
true.
depending where you
Their
work.
paycheck is also signed by those companies. You got to watch it. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
If they outsource your HR, though, then they tend to be more on your side. Mm-hmm. Yes, Veronica. She's on TikTok. It's a good time. I don't know what her handle is. I
I
would
don't
love for her to be
either.
on the show and talk about like what working your worth means.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to leave this for tomorrow. I respectfully decline.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I would wear a t-shirt that says I respectfully decline.
Did you see the one where or maybe you reposted it, where she's like, I'm gonna need to take these things home to work on them. She's like, no,
No.
I'm gonna respectfully decline.
I respectfully decline. That's my home.
Yeah,
That's my
somebody sent
home.
me edits at like 4:25 today, and I was like, yep, no.
No. You're rude.
That will happen tomorrow morning.
You're rude. I don't care if you worked over the weekend. That's your trauma that you and
Yeah,
your
that's
therapist have to work out.
amen. Amen.
That's you and your insecurity complex, not mine.
Yep.
Not mine. I won't add it to the merch list because it's Veronica's line and I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to take her intellectual property. But I'll comment her and be like, girl, I want a t-shirt that says I respectfully decline.
Yeah. Yeah.
In big bubble letters. If anything, glitter. But anything, I am really heartbroken about Deb. What are you hoping for moving forward with this season?
I really need Deb to not be Dan.
Yeah.
That was a
We
disappointment.
don't need more Dans.
Yeah. I really need Lucas to not act like everything's fine just because
Yeah.
he wrote a letter.
We didn't even talk about like Lucas. I really do think it's unfortunate that it's all like the Deb getting her divorce thing. I think that Keith and Lucas also, if they truly wanted their fresh start and their next shot, that a catastrophic event shouldn't bring them back to Tree Hill forever.
Yeah, I do like that Nathan and Keith are going to have the opportunity to develop a
Yeah.
relationship. I think that's really special. Like, I remember, like, my relationship with my aunt is different than my siblings' relationship with my aunt, and that
Yeah.
breaks my heart for them because to that, also, it's her fault too. But, it's like,
Yeah.
it's weird. It's not weird. It's just nice when you have family that you can like get to know and be a part of.
Yeah.
So I really like that opportunity for Nathan and Keith. On the edge with Dan.
Yeah.
Don't really know how to handle that mother trucker with
No,
his
like
Phoenix effect.
kind Dan is almost creepier. It's like, again, it's like when your abuser buys you flowers and you're like, well, what are you pissed about though?
Yeah, yeah. And I'd like to see I'd like to see what happens to our friend with the baby, whose name I'm forgetting, Brian
Oh,
Greenberg. Jake,
Jake.
that's it. Like, we know that he gets on a barge and leaves, but like, do they ever come back? Do we ever get any resolution? Or is that just like an open ended thing for all of 9 seasons?
Yeah, things I'm excited for. Lucas and Nathan getting to be friends. I think
Mm-hmm.
we're putting away the first season bullshit. And I think now that Nathan and Haley are married and Lucas cut his hair and allowed room for him to grow.
Yeah, I do
that.
love that they're brother and sister in law. Like, I think that's a
Yeah, that's
special
cute.
type of bond that we get to,
Yeah.
like, I'm excited to see that grow.
And then I'm excited for Karen's new fresh outlook on life. Like Karen
Mm-hmm.
gets to like go to college and do a bunch of bullshit and make some noise. I remember writing on my page like, make some noise, Karen. Do it. Make waves.
Not
Get
to
a
cut you
fake
off again,
ID.
but I am a little irritated with how Keith is like all or nothing.
Oh yeah, he's creepy.
I'm not a fan about that. Like, you're just
I'm
gonna
never
throw
a fan of
away.
all or nothing. I'm
Yeah,
it's manipulative.
it really is.
Nothing is
And
ever all or nothing.
so I hope he comes around from that.
Yeah. Um I'm excited for I'm excited for Evil Dan to show his true colors again so we can go back to being like, yikes! Ugh!
Ooh.
Ugh! And I'm excited to like watch the early stages of Nate and Haley's like cyclone marriage. Like just like a marriage that like happened because Haley wanted to get boned but feel good about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I but okay, so Haley is a perfect example of someone who probably grew up without religion because her parents seem very on the Dharma spectrum of Dharma
Mm-hmm.
and Greg. I love Dharma and Greg.
Yeah, yeah,
But like Haley grew up with two Dharmas. There was no
yeah,
Greg. So it's truly sometimes just like literally society and the media and what you're reading or whatever, because she was so anxious
yeah,
about sex work, about sex appeal, about anything. So
yeah.
something got to her. And I don't think it was Betsy Johnson.
No,
No. Betsy Ross, what's her name?
Bess Armstrong.
Bess Armstrong.
Betsy Johnson is a designer.
Yes, she is. In a tutu usually. And I was like,
Yeah,
what? Bess Armstrong. And
there is.
I don't think it was Haley's parents who traumatized her about the virginity thing. I think they would have bought her condoms, put her on the pill, and said, "Get wild, babe,
Yeah,
in the RV."
I think she was on the pill. I think like because she
Yeah,
says to Brooke like, "Oh, I've been on birth control for weeks now."
yeah.
So I
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
be.
right. The patch.
Yeah,
She got the patch. Do y'all remember the patch?
yeah.
um, but yeah. Are you so comfy that I'm making you watch One Tree Hill in 3-episode blocks?
And it was nice to see that more of my people showed up. It's like,
Oh,
thank you. I counted 4.
I'm also excited for the Mouth and Brooke friendship to literally soar.
Yeah.
They're so funny together.
I love that.
I love that like Mouth is okay with being the guy that gets duct taped to the chair and then like thrown down the road.
Right? Yeah.
Like Haley's like, I don't even want to know, but then she's like, I do want to throw Mouth in this chair though one time. Like,
yeah.
I do want to be the person who goes next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that this show is better than A League of Their Own? Is it fair to say that these episodes had way more going on?
In terms of storytelling, sure. In terms of representation, no.
No. Nothing in the 2000s is going to win their points in representation.
Yeah.
But had One Tree Hill had done the representation thing, like if they revamped One Tree Hill now and were purposeful in their representation, Jules, we are professionals.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
My tripod's broken and I'm still waiting to order a new one, and I'm working on it, Natalie. I'm sorry. Also, I have to pee.
Okay. Well, you know what, everybody? I'm going to bed because I have PMS fatigue. So
sorry for all the cleavage you saw on me tonight.
Right. Stay comfy, stay cozy, and we'll see you next week on the River Court. Wait, hold on. Do we want to plug Don't Worry, Darling in our shows and bullshit?
Yes, and I actually need to talk to you about Time because I talked to Mario about Time.
Cool.
So, but we are doing Don't Worry, Darling
on
live
Monday.
Broadcast on Monday. Time
with
TBD.
Mario.
Movies with Mr. Mario. Yeah.
I'm seeing it on Thursday, possibly by myself at 4:00 in the afternoon.
I changed my tickets to Friday because I forgot I had a friend coming to town Saturday, so I'm seeing it Friday at 4 also. I shouldn't have said that on the internet where it's going to live forever.
Right. Yeah, well, Grant, you couldn't have a bank account at my age. Exactly.
It's true. It's 100% true.
Don't let anyone shame you into not being married or having kids because we don't have to anymore in order to like eat meals.
I can have a bank account. I can open as many bank accounts as I want without any men.
Card. My name's on this house.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're doing Don't Worry, Darling on Monday on the Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous YouTube. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, whether or not someone spit on Chris Pine, whether or not Chris Pine is okay. Are you okay, Chris Pine? Whether or not Jason Sudeikis purposefully delivered those papers that way and Ted Lasso is actually a bad guy. We're going to talk about it all. And we might even talk about the plot of the movie.
It's true.
And we have merch for Halloween. To all the men I've tolerated before, I am wearing our haunted house t-shirt that says my past relationships still haunt me.
Yeah, because it's true.
This last week, filmmaker John Lee Brody was on the podcast talking about Hollywood and representation in Hollywood and what it means to honestly represent yourself in Hollywood.
Yeah.
This week, we have Katie Floss from Bitch, You Need to Hear This, talking about what it's like to heal after your worst relationship.
Yeah. Yep. This week on the podcast, we're rebroadcasting over on Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous. We're rebroadcasting
one of the still comfies.
Season 4 launches October 5th. We are examining wealthy women representation in the media. I'm very excited about that season. We also have merch. We just dropped the Scary Movies Are My Vibes and also Scary Movies Are Not My Vibe t-shirts in the shop. I'm trying to think what else is happening. I don't know. I have to pee. That's all I can think about.
All right. I'm going to bed. I have a period headache. Stay cozy, stay comfy. See you next week on the River Court.